right, now we're off and running. Okay, so what I was saying before, don't look at what it says on here, lesson 11. These are out of like a different kind of system that we use, so don't worry about that too much. So we're actually on lesson number 6, and that's what we need to do there. So basically you guys need to get done with, like, I believe anything that has like a 8 or 9 on it in front of it is the quizzes that you need to get through. And then we're going to have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 by the mid-December. So before we go on winter break, we'll have all the content that we've been doing, all the live classes. We only have like 2 more live classes after this. And then it's just kind of up to you guys to get everything done. You just need to get things done before January 8th, because January 8th is like the last day to turn anything in. So you have all of this Thanksgiving break if you're behind to catch up. If you want to jump ahead, feel free to jump ahead and just go through, just watch those videos, do those quizzes, and kind of get that done there. So any questions? Rolling here. I'm glad we have a couple other people that just joined us real quick. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try to check my private chats as soon as I can. But it looks like you guys are all good to go. Okay, so let's just kind of go over what we're going over today. It's going to be in the last couple units here. The first one, oh, it's not going. Okay, we're going to be talking about spending plans. Okay, and spending plans are just like a fancy title for a budget. Okay, it's just some kind of tool that you need to be able to track things. And to tell you the truth, I've gone through many like of these different things, so I'll kind of give you my thoughts on each of them. Now I'm at the point where I've done them like on paper and pencil. I've done what's called an envelope system too, which we'll talk about. Now I do it through an app, and it just helps us keep, my wife and I, we keep our budget like within stuff, so then we can make goals and be able to not overspend, because if you overspend, then man, it's a hard time getting things. Okay, so basically spending plans real quick, or budgets is what you want to talk about, are simple roadmaps to help people find financial goals. Okay, they need to be flexible and change, because for example, I was driving down to Lehigh not too long ago. I live up by like west of Ogden, and I was driving down by Lehigh, and I went through that wonderful construction down there, and my tire blew when I was on the freeway, which is kind of scary. So it blew, and I hurried and got off to the side of the road, turned on my blinkers. Well, all of a sudden, I didn't have a spare tire. The vehicle that I drive is this foreign car, and it has like these crazy little knobs. So changing the tire was just like, or fixing it right there was just not going to work. So I had to call a tow truck. Okay, and the tow truck cost me over $100. Took it into the shop. The shop cost about $75 or $80, and all of a sudden I have basically a $200 bill because I blew a tire. And it's not really anybody's fault really or anything like that, but I gotta put into my budget extra amount of money that I can use in order if those emergencies come up. Okay, so the one thing is, they're not difficult to establish, but they take time and they take commitment. It has to be something that you have to be like, okay, I'm going to sit down every week and at least go over my finances and make sure I'm at a good spot. Okay. There's different things that we'll talk about of doing, and then in a budget, you shouldn't have any money that's like left over in a budget. You should have already budgeted where everything goes, if that makes sense. So if you know that you can put X amount into savings, you should have that already. But I've had instances where that's happened, like something came in and I didn't realize that extra money was coming in, like a bonus or something like that. Okay, so benefits of a spending plan. Okay, you're able to put aside money to save for goals, like we talked about one of our first lessons, like things that you want to buy, right? You're able to put that away. Prepare for regular expenses coming forth. So something that I do personally, because I get a discount on it and I know I need it, is I pay like my automobile insurance in full for the full 6 months. Okay, and so that's something you may want to think about. Okay, prepare for unexpected expenses like blowing my tire that I just spoke about. You'll have an extra money, like an emergency fund. Control how you spend your money. We're going to be talking, so the first part of today's lesson is about a budget. The next one's about credit. Okay, and I like credit cards. I'm going to say that right now. Some people dislike them, but I like them for certain reasons. I'll tell you those certain reasons. Some people do not like them at all. But if you are be able to control yourself, I believe they're a good way of being able to do things. Okay, reduce stress and increase confidence. So I know one of the most stressful things it's been like for my wife and I is when we feel we don't have enough money, right, or we're overspending. Okay, provide an excuse to calm expensive spending. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we need to do there. Just those, especially right now, this week. If you are basically a person that sells products and stuff, you're probably going to get most of your sales during this time of the year because it's the Black Friday, this big huge thing. Everybody needs to buy things that are on sale, right? So be careful. Is anybody going to buy anything for Black Friday? Why don't you throw that in the chat real quick? Anything you've saved up for? Oh, I have somebody that's putting something. Not you? I don't have anything I'm going to spend either. I'm pretty lame when it comes to Black Friday stuff. But basically, it's always a hit on the wallet. Okay, and if you think, oh, well, it's on sale, so I should buy it. Well, if it's not in your budget, maybe you should reconsider, right? Okay, consequences of not using a budget, okay? And I've been here a lot, okay? No idea where your money's been spent. Sometimes I go and I get this credit card bill. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did we spend things on, right? Bad spending habits. Unprepared for emergencies. Like if I didn't have any money and I blew my tire, what am I supposed to do, right? Strained relationships, okay? Lack of savings plan, right? A lot of people these days cannot retire because they have not spent or saved their money, okay? Wasted money, okay, on frivolous things. So I had a friend that every time we'd stop at a gas station, he'd go in and buy chips and a drink and all this other stuff. Well, it's expensive to buy it there. If you buy it at the grocery store, he could have saved like $10 each time he went into there. So it's something like that. And then just kind of stress altogether. Okay, so here, basically, your income and being able to survive is fairly easy, okay? If you're spending or if you don't have enough money, you need to do a couple things. One, you need to reduce what you're spending, okay? And there's a lot of ways you can do this, right? Look at all the stuff you have and you can reduce it. One of the things that I have been upset about, and my wife can tell you this, is just how much cell phone bills cost, right? And so one of the things is I went out and I was doing some comparison shopping. And so I actually use a prepaid phone now, which I know how much it's going to be. I have to buy my phone outright, but I buy a cheaper phone. I don't have the latest and greatest phone, but I was able to save up a lot of money by doing that. Okay, using coupons, this is something my wife and I do as well. We have something called Wasatch Savings. It has a bunch of coupons in there, and we go, and if we're going to do something like go out and eat, we always look for a coupon to a place to kind of go, and it kind of drives where we're going to do because it saves us some money. Avoid impulse purchases. This is something that I need to work on quite a bit. What was it, a year and a half ago, my dad bought a truck, and I felt I had to have one too. I know, that was bad thinking, right? I'm able to spend, I can afford it, but is it needed? Well, I bought it anyways, and so now I'm kind of paying for it. Buying items on sale, said, waiting till Black Friday if it's something that you've already been looking for and have already saved up the money for. Here's something that I do sometimes. Instead of driving down to Salt Lake or something like that, I'll take the train, and I'll take my bike on the train and go ride because it saves a little bit of extra money that way. Big one, eating at home. Okay, once I also go out, I'll throw a sandwich, I'll throw apples and stuff in my bag rather than going out to these other things. Okay, we already talked about convenience stores like gas stations, vending machines. Shopping at thrift store, I always go to Ross's Dress for Less to get my Levi's or stuff like that. Wearing hand-me-down clothes, not against that either. Frequent shopper cards to kind of save money or get benefits like that. Okay, another thing, as I said, if you don't have enough money, after you reduce your spending costs, then you can look at increasing your income too. Okay, some things right there. Weekend or after school jobs. I have after work here, I do driver's ed. I do some other things on the side to get additional income. Additional chores around the house. I don't think my wife's going to pay me to do that, but yard work, babysitting, summer jobs, walking the dog, house sitting, garage sales, providing other kind of services. Okay, there is a lot of stuff out there that you're able to do, and just kind of think about it. There was somebody that came around and they would charge, I think it was like $20 or $30 to put a peephole on your door. I don't know if you've seen those, where like you look through and can see who's out in the door. But what they do is all they had was a drill, and they had the kit, and they just knock on people's doors, say, hey, would you like a peephole on your door? It's $20. And they were able to just do it real quick and make quite a bit of money going door to door. Okay, so something to think about. There's all kinds of things out there. So when you're looking at budget guidelines when you're moving out and stuff like that, you want to kind of break them down into these different categories. 30% of your household income should be housing and utilities. Food and other household products should be another 20%. Clothing and personal should be 10%. Transportation should be 10%. Savings and interest should be 10%, and then also another miscellaneous 20%, just to kind of fill in gaps there. Okay, so if you're going over those percentages, you really want to look at what where you can cut back in certain areas. Oops, there we go. Okay. All right, so the three different systems that it talks about for making a budget. One is the envelope system, and I really like this one for if it's really hard for you at some point in time to be able to keep track of your money, because what you do is after you get paid, you go to the bank and you take out the amount of money that you need that's in your budget, and you put them in envelopes, and you say, this is for eating out. This is for this, right? This is for groceries. This is for this. And what you do is when you go to the store, you have $50, let's say that, to buy groceries for the month. Well, you go there and you're actually really, really good with that $50 because you're like, okay, I'm calculating because I'm going by. Okay, this costs 25 cents, this costs $3, and you want to get the most bang for your buck, because as soon as that $50 is gone, it's gone, and you don't have any more. And so you're able to keep track of your money, and I feel like it goes farther that way. Another way to do it is a computer program. So right now I use a little app called Wave, Wave Accounting. I think it's really good. You can sign up for it for free. You can have your credit card things go pulled to it, your debit card transactions, and you can really just track how much you're spending, what's coming in and what's coming out. And it's a really nice, convenient way. It's just an app on my phone. So I really like that one, but that's maybe when you get a little more disciplined there. And then a paper system kind of does the same thing. If you don't like to use the phones, you can write it down exactly, how much you make, and break down each section there. Okay, any questions on a budget? What to do on a budget? What you would, anything like that? You guys are quiet today. I think you're wanting to go on Thanksgiving break early. Got a couple people putting in the chat. I'm going to have to start one. Make sure you're following. Yep. Yeah, you'll have to start one, and be able to check off like how much it is. You don't want to get into whole bunches of debt. And the one thing with like credit, what we're talking about, is a lot of people, what they do is they just throw it on credit, and then next thing they know, they're paying a whole bunch and they can't pay back their credit cards. And we're going to tell you how much. There's a statistic on here that shows you how much people in Utah have in credit card debt, which is interesting. So, okay, all very good. I'm glad you understand budgets. Biggest part is following them. That's the hardest part. Okay, let's talk about credit. Okay, we're going to talk about what is credit. Does credit cost? Okay, what are the advantages of credit, and what happens if you misuse credit? Okay, so first off, credit is a legal agreement to receive cash or goods or services now and pay for them in the future. Okay, so the biggest thing that you guys remember is like a credit card, right? So you have this credit card or Apple Pay or something like that, where you can put and purchase something, you get the product, and then that company is going to require you to pay what's called interest. So whenever you don't pay something back, like every day, a lot of times it accumulates, a couple cents depending on how much it is, and it can go up and up and up, and you owe all that money back plus that interest. If you're disciplined, you can really do very well with credit. Okay, so let's talk about this. The average credit card balance for 2011, now this was a long time ago, it was 8 years ago, was $6,576. Okay, and the average Utah was about $1,000 less, or a little bit less than that. It was $5,816. That's the average. So that means people, and most people, just so you know, they're making maybe around $3,000 to $7,000 a month, depending on where you're at. Okay, they're not going to be able to pay for all their stuff and pay off their credit card every time the billing cycle comes around. And that's what I would tell you to do, is how you use a credit card, is you only pay on there what you can already pay back. Once you get in this point, you are just paying that credit card company or that bank or credit union money that is basically wasted, that you wouldn't have to pay them if you didn't do that. Okay? Alright, so there's different types of credit. Okay, so there's credit cards, which has very high interest rates, installment loans, service loans, revolving credit, student loans, IOUs, and single payment credit. So I would look watch out and understand a lot before you enter into any type of credit agreement. Okay. Credit cards are probably going to be the first one where you start to get things on. Know that you need to pay those off quickly and have that cash on hand, or you're going to be paying a high interest rate. So for example, there was 1 month on a business that I was in with a business partner, and the person who was supposed to pay us did not pay us for a couple months, and we were charged an extra, I think, $250 in fees, interest, because of that. Okay, so you really want to make sure you know what you're doing, or you're going to pay that extra money, as I said. Okay, so here's a couple things. So before people will let you have any money, they're going to require you to establish credit, okay, or have something, an asset down, in order for them to lend the money. So if you have a bank account, you're going to start to develop credit. So for example, like if you have money in a bank account, they can pull a record and see that and know that you have money to pay them back if you needed to. Employment history, if they know that you have a job, they know you have money, some money coming in. If you live in a certain house for a long time, that shows that you're usually not having to go from place to place, and you develop good credit like that. Utilities in your name, so phone, electric bill, that kind of stuff, shows a permanent residence that you're not going to like just leave town and not pay them back. And then also like gas credit card, something like that. That's a good way to start developing credit that you need, because you need credit to like get an auto loan, buy a house eventually, that kind of stuff. So be good there. So this is, I got 2 more slides. Okay, so there's 2 more slides. So the advantages of credit, okay? So it's convenient, okay? It's easy to go in and just say, okay, cool, I have that money, I know I have it, I'll swipe this on my card, I'll do it, I'll pay them back. It's immediate, you don't need to pull out cash, so you're not going to get robbed. Zero liability on fraud. So this feature is why I use credit probably the most, especially with online shopping, is if somebody got my credit card number and they used it, all I have to do is look at my bill and say, that was not me. Tell it to the credit card company. They are required to take it off, and I do not have to pay that money, and the credit card company is the one that either has to lose that money or they have to find out who did it and fight that battle. Okay? If it comes out directly out of your bank account, it's on you, right? The bank's not going to put that money back in, and you got to be really careful, okay? It helps like on reservations, so if you ever want to get a hotel reservation like that, you can also gain like bonus points. So you know, I have a travel rewards card where I have so much money, so my wife and I can go out somewhere and travel. Disadvantage, it's a loan. You pay extra interest rates. There may be additional fees. So if you try to get cash out on it or something like that, there's an additional fee. It's really easy to overspend. It's like, oh, you know, that's okay, I'll just put it on the credit card. Can promote impulse purchases. So if you're somebody that can't hold money very well, I wouldn't recommend a card right now. I'd recommend that envelope system that we talked about. You have a risk for identity theft. As I said, that zero liability thing is really good. And then if you're responsible for it, if it's lost, right? So you got to hurry and call the credit card company and say, I lost my credit card. Please cancel it. Send me another one. So, all right. So that ends us here today. Any questions on credit, credit cards, anything like that? If not, I will. Well, I'm going to stop the recording anyways right now.
Recording stopped.